Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mentor Minutes podcast, where Jay and I discuss board games, top 10 lists. We chat with game designers and other publishers and content creators, yada, yada, yada. Thanks for tuning in. Again, I'm Jared.
And I'm Jay.
And so we have another interview today. And today we are talking with a creator, a director, the video guy who is a board gamer, but also he has created on YouTube a series, like a TV series, essentially, stretched out over several episodes of one season, telling a story about a gaming group, a board game group, and it is amazing, high production values, and it is hilarious. And I'm so excited to have him on here with us today. Dean, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, Dean,
I'm loving the collection behind you there.
Oh yeah.
So we both have similar size collections, and this we're at my house tonight filming. But yeah, Jared has his own, and we do the typical, put the games behind us and the Calyx type shelves, shots.
Oh yeah, I've got my Calyx shelf over there.
I guess it's the thing to do. I mean, what other background does a gamer want than to just look at titles?
Yeah, I should have set this up with that as my background, but I am lazy.
That's funny. That's funny. And so we were chatting just before we started filming that Jared and I were both big fans of the Meeple People, comedy. I don't. When you filmed it, were they webisodes? Were they like what? How do you characterize them yourself? Because they're certainly shorter episodes.
Yeah. Initially, this was a TV pilot, a 30-minute TV pilot, and we have a 20-something minute version of that. That we meant to post at some point, and we may post it, so everybody can see it as one full thing.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the idea was to sell it as a TV show, is one of our projects, myself and Aaron Rose Widener. And we got an agent actually through this pilot that wanted to help try to sell it for us. We took meetings, we did the Hollywood thing, and then didn't sell it. Ultimately, surprise, surprise, it's a little too niche, the board game community, right?
Oh, really?
I don't think it's that niche. I think it's huge, but
Well, I would posit against that, for instance, I watch this show and I think this reminds me a lot of The Office, in that it's a kind of niche but mundane sort of like.
That's what we were going for. So thank you for saying that, because that's what we were going for.
That's exactly. I'm like, this is the kind of humor that I love.
All the awkwardness, the
awkward humor. Yeah, that's what we were going for. Was
like
that awkward humor?
With cringe.
Yeah. That's right. The cringe-worthy stuff.
Oh my gosh,
really good.
So anyway, we had meetings, blah blah blah, and then we decided, you know what? Let's just get it out to the board game community. We chopped it up into, we had a lot of footage. We had enough for, like an hour.
That's
so
awesome.
We added the extra footage back in and chopped it up into 17 episodes, which you've seen, and called it season 1. Just to, it's sort of like, for me, it's like my gift to the board game community, something for people, if they like this kind of thing, to watch and enjoy and maybe relate to it a little bit. And we would love to do more. In fact, we wrote a quarantine version, a quarantine season 2, little mini season 2, with the characters all on Zoom, basically gaming on Zoom like we all did, right?
Right.
But we just never could get everybody together to shoot it. And here we are coming out of the pandemic. So it's a little late now for that.
Right.
But the script is there. Yeah.
Well, and for anybody who's listening to this or watching this and hasn't seen Meeple People yet, Dean, describe for us a little bit about sort of the premise of the show. And you obviously had worked with some of these actors and actresses in the past. I know Aaron Rose was one of the co-producers, but also one of the main actors as well. So can you describe a little bit how you sort of convinced some of the folks that we see on screen to participate in this project and what that thought process was?
Absolutely. So, Aaron Rose is a wonderful actress that I had cast in a theater project. Oh, you see my cat back there.
All good, man.
Distracted by that cat, everybody. That's Fellini.
Hello.
So anyway, Aaron Rose was cast in a series of one-act plays that I wrote and directed way back in 2012. And we just really connected, and we decided that we wanted to work on something someday, co-write something. And the very first project was actually her idea. She said, why don't we do something about your game nights that you have? Because I host weekly game nights. I mean, we're gaming actually 3 or 4 times a week.
Nice.
I would game every day if I could.
Nice.
So, she said, and she's came to a few of them, and she said, let's do something like that. So we developed a story, an idea. We both knew that we wanted it to be a comedy, and we wanted it to be in the vein of The Office, like that sort of awkward comedy. That's kind of the stuff I write anyway. And so we put it together. And then a lot of the actors are people that I've worked with in the past on many projects, theater projects, other film projects. And so we wrote for those people. So Jonathan Bray, who plays Brad, we wrote that specifically with him in mind.
He's fantastic.
He's so good at that kind of thing. Yeah, he's so good. God. And then Rebecca, who plays Sue, she's an improv genius. A lot of her lines are improv from the show.
Yeah.
She comes from an improv background, so we knew we wanted her. Natalie, played by Natalie Palamides, who just has her own Netflix show right now called Nate, which is amazing. You should go look at it. It is absolutely amazing. And she's all over TV and commercials and stuff. We wanted to do something with her. So, and then everyone else we cast just through the normal casting process.
Right.
So, we geared it toward their voices and stuff. And then Aaron Rose relied on my board game knowledge, with the script. And
yeah. So out of all the actors and everybody, and of course the writers, how many of them are actually board gamers?
One. Me.
Only one.
Only one. It's me. Erin Rose actually does enjoy gaming. I think she would be sort of still in that sort of gateway game period where, Dominion, Splendor, you know what I mean? Never really got into the hardcore gamer stuff, but she does like games.
The other good cast, at Lewis and Clark.
Well, yeah, she was pretending to be good at Clark.
I love what she said. The fur is brown, right?
Right, the fur is brown. The fur is the brown stuff, right? Yeah, she ad-libbed that. So, in fact, I taught them, those actors who were playing Lewis and Clark, I taught them the game before we started shooting so that they could mimic actually playing the game. But they were just like, what? They had no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't just throw people into a game like that.
That's a little bit too heavy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was like, well, now you're going to set your cards down like this,
I'd say one of the most.
All the cast, they had absolutely no clue that a board game community like this existed. I think they were a little shell-shocked by how many games I owned. All those are my games that are on the shelf.
Yeah, I was assuming that was.
Yeah, so, and they just had no clue. So, but they're good actors, so they're good at acting like it.
I really like how like you were saying, all the characters are kind of stereotype or even like caricatures of so many people I've played games with that you recognize as a personality type. And
even to that point, so, I'm the gamer in the family, and my wife will play games with me, but mostly lighter games. And so I'm the one watching, the YouTube videos and tutorials and all the gaming stuff. And of course, she has no interest in watching that stuff. But I showed her the episodes of Meeple People, and she loved it. And one of the funniest parts was she would point out to me, she'd be like, hey, that's a guy just like in one of your game groups. Like she kept on sort of finding those personalities.
Did she mention me in this?
She did not. This was prior to me knowing you. Yes,
I was like, I'm curious who she thought I was.
I was going to say Bond. No.
I always agree.
Who do you relate to in that?
Oh man.
Anybody?
Well, I was going to say now I'm going to forget the names of the characters here as I do this, but the couple who. The girl who was always
the girl sleeps on the couch. And stuff.
Doing those signing up for those what are they like the scientific research surveys?
Those two. Yeah.
Oh, I love them.
That quirky couple, that just it's like, how did they end up here? Because they're not.
Where are they? Where do they go at night?
Yeah. That kind of thing.
How is she so dedicated to the science?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. One of my favorite, there's so many great moments, but Jared and I were kind of relaying some of our favorite moments. before we started recording. And
so I'm geeking out a little bit.
Yeah. So you had invented, and rightfully so, you invented Phuket, right? The game Phuket. So you could really kind of dive deep into that game and not mock an actual real game.
I assume that's why you did that.
I assume that's why.
That is why. Yeah.
And the whole discussion about the Chow Fa rule and how it was broken, it was just so great to see that. And see that argument. It was just classic. I love it because it pulled the curtain back, and it was just so meta to the hobby that I really love those moments that you just put in every episode.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad you like that. That's one of my favorite moments too, because it just reminds me of conversations that I've had with friends about rules, house rules, and people getting upset.
Yes, I mean, that happens almost every time, and depending on who you play with.
That's right.
Some people take gaming very seriously, and like if they, they're all about winning and maxing out their turn, and so every rule is important. And so if someone is like taking advantage of something or playing it wrong, like the guy with the afro was like, no, we don't play that rule, and it's like.
He's great too.
I love that.
Yeah, he's from Glee. He was a series regular on Glee for a while.
That's right. Cool. That's right. I mean, the cast is fantastic. You've got like Aaron Rose, Grey's Anatomy. You have people that have been on like Better Call Saul. I mean, all kinds of really widely known television shows.
And I think they're very well cast to their characters.
Yeah, excellent, very excellent casting.
Yeah, and like I said, we wrote for some of them. We wrote for their voices. Knowing we're very lucky that we got such an amazing cast.
No, I don't think we've actually mentioned some of the premise here. So Dean, kind of set up the premise
over some of that.
Of what the episodes are and sort of the scenario that we find ourselves in when we start watching these episodes.
Got it. So this is about a group of board game fanatics like myself and like you guys who love to meet every week and play games. In fact, they would probably not know each other. If they didn't share this hobby, which is one of the themes of this. It's like finding your people. I found my people in my games group. I would never have known a lot of these people who became friends had it not been for the hobby.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. And then basically the season 1 all takes place in one game night for the most part. And it's about how there are some new people that are going to join the group. One of them, played by Aaron Rose, has never played board games before, so she's just entering a world that she knows nothing about. And the host has a big crush on her and is trying to woo her with his board game knowledge. And then her roommate, Brad, has already been to this game night, and he's already annoyed everybody. And so they're not thrilled to have him back, and he's trying to win them over.
Yes. Yeah. Perfect.
And that's an amazing premise for like a comedy that is so rooted in reality. Like for any board gamer that plays in a group regularly, like there's so much to relate to throughout the episodes.
Yeah.
And like one of my favorite episodes was like a little bit after the Chow Fa, when it was like the beginner's luck type of thing. And it opens up where they're counting up points, and then all of a sudden he has like 40
Brad
points.
wins by like 40 points.
Yeah. Because and it's so funny. And so they're like, the other two are talking amongst themselves, like just visibly like upset so much. And so then he turns around, he puts up his hand, and Brad goes to high five him. And I was like, that is the best. Like that is
right.
Like,
he goes, no, this is not a high five.
Like, no, it's not a high five.
And then he swears him in to like, never.
He's like, what am I saying right now?
He's never going to bring up the Phuket rule. And that's something we hope to do in a season 2, is have that character, Scott, actually go and meet with the publisher and the designer of that game to actually try to get them to change the rule. That was a little storyline we wanted.
Yeah,
that'd be fantastic.
And because they kept arguing, and he was like, "Oh, I will talk to the designer, and they will listen to me." And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
And even the follow up to that immediate scene after he does this thing, like he's like, okay, now we high five, and he's like, and then he tries to high five his friend, and he's like, no. He's like, he fist bumps. Like all of that whole scene was like perfect.
Yeah, very, very good. And even though the season concluded, you did a lot of extra content. with a lot of the actors participating in that, which I thought was great. There's the gamer tips, and then you had some of the where they meet Becca Scott in
bonus episodes.
So there's a bonus episode with Becca Scott, who was awesome to work with.
That was a really funny episode.
Yeah.
I like to rewatch that.
Pandemic, and they're talking about, people getting sick. So it's like, oh, we had a premonition there.
Right.
Yeah, watching that again, that's exactly what was going through my head.
So that was filmed and done before COVID.
Right. Yeah. Before COVID, we even knew about it. It was just a funny thing. We thought, take this sort of the idea that somebody's sneezing and make that a thing.
Yeah. So I have a lot of questions about her character.
Yeah, absolutely.
Character?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
First, at the end, she says, we need to was it smudge again? I didn't know what that was talking about.
She came up with that word. She pulled that out of somewhere because, her character is all about incense and
these candles,
good vibes and holistic stuff,
It smells like the Purge.
To make this character that's just, they're starstruck in front of this designer they love who turns out to be a weirdo.
Yeah. There's the weirdest person ever. And on one side of the table, there's just a group of sycophants. And all they want to do is just clap along and go along with whatever crazy nonsense.
Right. And those two, they have a YouTube show like you guys do.
Yeah.
They're local. That's why we brought them in.
That was the couple.
They had us on. It's called Unfiltered Gamer. I don't know if you know them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'd seen a few of their episodes too, and I recognized them. I said, "Oh, who's that from? I've seen him before." And that was the couple that does the YouTube channel. That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I was going to say too. So I know we talked about the fact that none of the actors other than yourself were really board gamers before this. Did you actually during downtime and things like that end up introducing any of them to games, and have any of them actually started to play games at all since then, or was it sort of just
probably just a work experience?
Yeah.
Well, no, Nelson Chang, who plays Ted, he's the quiet one.
Yeah.
He sort of nods his head at me. He decided he came to one of my game nights much later for the specific purpose of actually playing Lewis and Clark, and he ended up buying it.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
I don't know, played it much after that, who he would get to play that, with him. Non-gamer.
Because then he's got to teach it.
That's right. That's right. So that ended up happening. A few of the cast I invited over to a game night before we shot, so I wanted them to see what some of the gamers were like and what the atmosphere was like, so they could understand the vibe and just get a flavor for it. And we played some games with them, and they had fun.
Yeah.
But as some people you can introduce into the hobby, and they'll love it and fall in love. And some people just don't get it, and they're just not. Right. They don't want to sit and do work. That's how they.
Sure.
Right. Sure. So not everybody's into it.
Now, have you played the second edition, the recent publishing of Lewis and Clark?
I have not. I didn't know there was a second edition.
There is.
I did hear about that.
And
I would like to try that out to see what.
So if you're curious, I did recently publish a full tutorial for the game, and at the end, I added all the second edition changes.
That's right, you did.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to check that video out.
So I recommend that, since that's sort of like a crux of this particular series is that game. And so I just remembered. So it was a few weeks ago I put it out.
Absolutely.
But the second edition changes the way that camping works, so you don't have camping tokens anymore.
Oh, that's interesting.
Instead, you just basically always move forward. And instead of for all the time markers that you would gather or penalize you, instead you take tokens, these time tokens. And in order to move forward again, you have to pay those tokens. So for every point of movement, you're just discarding them until you're allowed to move again.
Oh, that's it. I wonder why they made that change. Because I didn't feel like there was a need for that. I mean, I enjoyed the game the way it worked.
Yeah,
but I'd be curious to try it that way.
Yeah, and there is a there's a print and play where you can upgrade your original board.
Oh, that's interesting.
And there's also an upgrade kit, which I ended up buying, and I think it's sold on the BGG store as well. And it has stickers that you can put over various spots of the board.
Saw that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
which is cool. So I went with that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind trying that. Yeah.
Well, I like to, again,
especially if you put it in the series for season 2, it's like, okay, now we have a second edition to try out.
Right.
Love your Disney concept.
Anyway.
Well, I was going to say too, again, the whole premise of, introducing somebody new to the hobby and to this group. I like a lot of things that you did with it. One, I loved how there was the choice of the different generations of gamers. So, the first gaming group was like Gen 1, and then there's Gen 2. Those were the new people that got invited.
And they were like all proud about it, and it was a very serious.
That's how it is in my game group. I call them waves for some reason. Wave 1, wave 2, and I have a document that lists like who started in what year, who came the following year.
That's great.
That's amazing.
Its status is what it is. But then I like too how because we do this too in the hobby as well. When we're looking to introduce someone, it's almost like an evangelical type experience where you're trying to understand, okay, what do they like? What are their dislikes?
You're like guiding their hand.
What kind of game should I pick for them? And
you're the curator. You're the wine connoisseur.
That I so relate to that. Every time there's somebody new, that's what I'm doing. I'm like spreading about it the night before, like what I want to start with them, so they're not freaked out. But then get to this better one later.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are they going to like? Is it going to clash with this guy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't just have someone new come in and say, pick something off the shelf, we'll play it. Because that's the worst.
It's disaster.
Yeah, it's always a problem.
Well, and you really wrote that into the show too, because the interest that Emily had in history was the reason why Aaron.
She said yes.
I hope I'm not mixing up these names. It was the reason why Aaron decided like Lewis and Clark would be the great game to introduce her to, because she loved these historic figures.
You can kind of tell in his eyes that as soon as he heard that, he kind of perked up like, I could probably, slide that into her, your interests.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've totally done that with women. I've totally done that. It's like, oh, let me introduce you to this game. Maybe you'll get excited.
Yeah.
So I know you talked a bit about plans for the future and the sort of COVID-like episodes that you were thinking about doing, but obviously that the ship's kind of sailing on that. In order to do more episodes of this, do you have any plans right now to do any sort of crowdfunding to make that happen, or are you thinking of pitching this again? Where do you kind of go from here, I guess, is the question, or do you?
Well, I would love to do a season 2 and keep going. I would love to do, even if it's just for the board game community, I would love to do it. A lot of it was trying to see how many views we could get, how much interest we can get based on season 1. And there were a lot of people who would send us comments and stuff saying, we want season 2, So I would love to do it, but it's going to take getting everybody's schedules together, finding the money to do it. I don't know if we would do a crowdfunding thing, maybe. We'd have to gauge the interest because it's going to be the fans who are going to crowdfund it, no one else, right?
Yeah.
So we'd have to see about it. What we were going to do.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean,
we were going to do the quarantine because it was going to cost almost nothing because everyone could do it from their home on Zoom.
Right.
Written for that, but we just never got around to it. I would love to do a season 2. Yeah.
Maybe there's like a game publisher or something that might want to fund or help fund
that. You're right. That could be. I need to do the work to find that person.
That's
a big one, right?
I was going to say, I'm sure in your field, finding time is probably one of the hardest things. And I was going to mention too. You'd mentioned you had a lot of footage, like about an hour worth of footage to use. So what you do, you crowdfund the Meeple People season 1. Blu-ray or download, right, with an hour episode, and then you use that to fund season 2.
Right.
Well, you could, yeah. I don't know. We'd have to look into it. I have to talk with Aaron Rose. We'd have to look into what we could do. I think it would be fun. I think the cast would have fun doing it again.
Yeah. So I mean, it seemed like everyone had a good time on set, right?
Oh, they had a great time. We had fun. Yeah, the fun was letting them just go off script sometimes and letting them ad lib.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole scene in the kitchen between the two ladies where they're talking about going to the
mall or whatever.
I love that scene.
I love that. That's one of my favorites. And that is, I mean, they started with script, but then they just ad-libbed that whole thing.
I love that part when she's like, let's just try this. What would you say if I sat down and had coffee with you?
Right.
It's like going downhill, obviously, but the other one's like, oh, this is great. And she's like,
we're going to be best friends.
This is not working.
Yeah, it's just so not going to happen. I mean, she's based on someone who would come, and she would come with her boyfriend. She would play a game every once in a while, but she would mainly just sit on the couch or sleep.
Wow.
Yep.
While he played games.
I love that like wide shot where you can see all these different tables and then she's like laid out.
Right.
I'm like,
see, that's my wife at game nights.
That's awesome.
Everyone has that person at game night who's just conked out.
Yeah. Or just stuck on their phone,
They're just on their phone. Yeah. They're doing it for their boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're
Now, I mentioned, so there's a lot of comparisons that could be made to The Office and that type of humor. And I would say, in my opinion, that Brad is probably the closest to being Michael Scott.
Yeah, he does have that vibe, doesn't he?
He's the guy that kind of offends everybody, but he tries to be funny. He thinks he's funny, but he's not really funny.
Jonathan, who plays him, just excels at that kind of character. It just, it turned out that he was everybody's favorite character who watched the show.
Yeah.
He turned out everyone was Team Brad.
Yeah.
And when he was doing the Time's Up game and he's doing all the pantomime, I mean, that scene was fantastic. And when they were just ridiculing him for how much he's putting into it and the effort,
he's trying so hard.
And failing. And
they will not give him a break.
It's perfect.
So
and he's not as so there's a lot of qualities I see with Michael Scott, but he's not as like mean or even
he's
like
lovable.
Yeah, he's a very lovable character because it's more of like ignorance than it is just.
Yeah, he means well. Well.
But he takes either things too far or he doesn't understand the nuance of
the
like
culture,
the culture.
Gaming culture. Yeah. It's I mean, it's a fantastic show. We obviously recommend. But friends of ours have never seen it. We recommend them watch it.
Yeah.
Good.
I've watched it multiple times.
Wow, that makes me feel so good.
Well, they're such digestible episodes because obviously it's not a big commitment. You hear 17 episodes, but like you said, it's like less than an hour worth of actual screen time. But they're really fantastic. We've enjoyed it, and Dean, we really are. Big fans, as you know. What other things do you kind of have in the works that aren't obviously related to this? But do you have anything going on that you want to share about or talk about, or
any other projects we're filming?
Sure, anything.
Well, we did. In fact, our follow-up project to Meeple People was something called Season and Renee. Season being the name of a person, and Renee is played by Rebecca, who plays Sue Pitt with the glasses.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was written for her and her real life best friend, who's also an actress and a good friend. And some of the Meeple people actually showed up in that as well. We had some roles in that. And lots of projects like that. Basically, we're always writing something new and gathering up the funding and shooting it and trying to sell it.
Yeah.
And Season End Renee, is that also available on YouTube, or is that how would you?
It's not, because we are trying to sell it. So when you're trying to sell it, your agent says don't put it out anywhere.
Correct. Right.
So maybe at some point we would do that, but it's not.
We watch anything that you.
I'll send you a link to it.
You have a good
game
track record.
I love the humor that you put into everything, but also the thought behind the scenes and even like the reactions of people, taking the time with those like lingering shots so that you get that cringy like reaction.
I love that sort of cringe humor. Just love it.
Oh, it's so good.
It's very great. So,
what are you guys? What are you gaming? What games are you playing lately?
Let's see.
I just played. I've been going through. So there's a new series Jared suggested to me, which are we're calling Jay's Takeaways. And they're just like real quick 2 minutes, kind of my thoughts on a game.
Oh yeah, we're trying to think of new video series to add to the channel, and
that's nice.
So one of the things I have a decent amount of the Dice Tower Essential games, and I just played Four Gardens. Have you heard of that one?
I own it. I I own it and have played it about 3 or 4 different times.
Yeah, what do you think of it? I really like it.
I like it. I love the tower.
Yep.
I love that exists and that's there. It's very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I like the game. I found that it was better as a 2 than a 3 or a 4 because you cannot plan ahead so much. This was my experience.
Yeah,
you don't know how they're going to turn it. So there's nothing. You have to just sit and wait for your turn.
Yeah, I totally
I recommend it as a 2.
I played it at 4, and then I played it at 3, and the 3 was a much better experience than the 4. And I said, boy, I bet this is going to play really good at 2. Because you can plan ahead.
It is because you can kind of like, oh well, they'll only turn it this way or that way, and I can kind of think ahead a little bit. But otherwise, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful game.
Yeah, the next one I've got on the list, which is one of their lesser known ones, is Dragon Scales. Yeah, I haven't played it yet. That's going to be the next one I'm going to try, which is also an essentials line. Because I'm just interested, because I've liked Sheriff. I don't play Sheriff much now, but I keep it for fun.
Which one?
Sheriff of Nottingham.
Oh, Sheriff of Nottingham. I used to own that. Yeah, and then my friends just decided they didn't like it, so I had to.
Oh, that's a bummer. I still like that game.
Yeah. I've it's kind of lost its shine a little for me. It's created some wonderful experiences for me, but for me, it always ends up taking a little longer than I want it to, based on how many I play and things like that.
Sure, and I think that was some of the problem with my friends. It overstayed its welcome.
Yeah,
I like the game.
I'm gonna have to look up. I'm gonna have to look up the app to see what we've been playing recently.
Well, I've been playing
Detective Club.
Yeah, I played Netatonka recently. The Initiative.
Oh, is that any good? Is that good?
Yeah, I do like it. It's like a campaign, but it's not as heavy as any other campaign that you might do. It's a very light. Like the board is just kind of like like an office setting of walls everywhere, and you're kind of just moving around collecting clues. So it's kind of a simple gameplay, overall.
Yeah, I want to try that one.
Yeah, we've done the first 3 or 4 chapters, and there's 17 maybe.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
But it seems to be so far fully replayable. There's not any components that are adjusted or changed. So it's been cool. I think everyone's enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it play out.
We also attended a convention recently. First convention for us for
a year and a half.
Since COVID. There was a little hidden gem game called Spicy. A little card game called Spicy. It's a bluffing.
I'm going to look it up. Spicy.
It's if you like Skull, Cockroach Poker, those types of sort of light.
I do love Skull and Cockroach Poker.
I think you're going to like it.
Okay, I'm going to look that up. That looks
pretty cool. This is probably a little better than both of them. It's hard for me to say that because I love both Cockroach Poker and Skull.
Yeah. But if it's better, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm really.
This is fantastic.
That and Cockroach are about neck and neck for me.
Spicy. Okay, I'm going to look that up.
It's got a tiger on it, and it's got
I'm always down to learn a new game.
Yeah, and it's super simple. So this is also another one that's great to introduce to
all
new
ages.
Players.
Absolutely.
Let's see another one. Have you played Detective Club?
Yes, I like it. I really like it. I don't think you need to. Sadly, you don't need to own the game. You can play it just with paper and pen.
You
just come up with the stuff yourself.
Yeah, that's right. You can.
Battleship.
I actually played it with Dixit cards in the past too.
Yeah, Dixit cards. That's right. We did that.
Yeah, but what I like about it is I really like Dixit. My family likes Dixit, and I like the Chameleon. And to me, this is almost like a marriage between the two. So I like it a lot. And
I didn't get around to buying it. My group has steered a little bit away from the party games and are more now hardcore strategy or medium strategy. And some of us are lamenting. So we need new people, like in the show. We need new people so we can play our party games again.
Fresh blood.
Right.
Yeah.
I got to play 2 sort of medium to heavy games recently for the first time. Not saying these are necessarily new games. I played Newton for the first time.
Oh, I like Newton.
Oh man, that was a great game.
I like it. It's so difficult, but I like it.
Yeah, well, I'm not very good at games, but
yeah.
And Genotype. Have you played Genotype?
No, I've not even heard of that.
So that is a medium weight Euro game from Genius Games, who's mostly known for Cytosis or Subatomic.
I know Cytosis. Okay.
Deck builder. So it's based on science and everything, but it's a worker placement Euro game where the theme is you're trying to splice together different aspects or traits for pea pods. so you're growing different things and you have to be able to like collect the right DNA. DNA is not the right thing because it's like a, capital F, or capital F, lowercase f, and then lowercase f, lowercase f.
Gene sequence or something?
Yeah, it's like a gene splicing, right?
Okay. Okay.
So
So you're making like hybrid plants or whatever.
Yeah, you're kind of making specific hybrid plants based on the card.
I'll look that up too. Genotype.
It's really, really good. I think it's their strongest game, but but I wouldn't sell Cytosis because Cytosis is just an easier game to get to the table because I think it's more easy to introduce to people, whereas Genotype is a heavier experience.
Sure. Dean, what about you, Dean? What have you been playing?
We've been playing a lot of Castles of Tuscany.
Okay.
Which follow up to Castles of Burgundy. I'm a Feld guy, so although I didn't love Bonfire.
Really?
That's funny. I really liked Bonfire.
I actually like Bonfire.
I know, I'm in the minority. I think it could be because I lost so badly that perhaps it put me in a bad mood, and I decided I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I just felt like I couldn't get enough done. I wanted to get more done. Even the person who won didn't get anything done.
Yeah,
but I've been playing Castle of Tuscany, Paris. Paris, Kiesling, and Kramer, Paris.
Yeah. I wasn't as impressed with Paris.
Oh, really? I like it. It.
There's so many parts to set up in that game. First of all, and I guess the deluxe or whatever, like all these components are so like big and bulky and like.
I wonder if we're talking about the same game, the Kiesling and Kramer one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the circle. It's a circle.
It's like a circle. There's the Arc de Triomphe in the center.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Was that the one that has the keys you were talking to me about?
Yeah. So you got these keys.
I want to play this one because I love those two designers.
I like it. It didn't blow my mind, but I like it.
The amount of time it took to set it up, that there wasn't as much variability as I expected.
I see the variability part of it. I see. I could see that.
It's like because they're always going to go into the same particular spots. The only thing that changes is the order that those tiles come out. And so, but the actual like streets, like the roofs, those always go in the same location as well.
No, you can mix those up. We've been playing where we put them in anywhere.
Oh, that's cool. That introduces.
Well, I saw that like they match certain colors on certain sides.
I know, but we just ignore that.
Yeah.
Variety.
Yeah, but any game that you have to house rule to like make it more enjoyable, I'm like something wasn't quite.
No, absolutely. It's not for everybody. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Merv. That's on my short list to play. I've heard great things about that.
It's so good. I think it's so good. It's so unique.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, that one and what's the one that has the name I can never pronounce? That's everybody likes.
Is one of the T games?
Teotihuacan?
Nope, it's not one of the T games. It has a longer name. I'm blanking on it. It's a Latin name.
Well, I like Alma Mater. I heard you say Alma Mater. I like that one.
Yeah, Alma Mater. I'm so bad at Alma Mater.
I think of it too.
Yeah.
And I think I just want to keep playing it till I win one, and then I'll probably be done because I love it, but it stresses me out.
Mm-hmm.
I think I prefer Coimbra from that design.
I think I like that one too. It's Praga Caput Regni. That's the one I
don't know it.
That's one I'm really interested in playing.
Yeah, that's on my list. It's on my list.
Maybe Jason's got this one.
So since we're talking about board games, and I'm curious if you have a favorite or top three or anything like that you want to share?
I know this is like cliche to say, but Agricola is still up there for me. It's just about a perfect board game. But I love all Rosenberg's, Hallertau. We've been playing a lot of Hallertau. I don't know if you've played his new one.
We have, yeah.
I think it's great. I understand there's issues with it. We house ruled it a little bit to make it better. But anyway, Agricola. I love The Oracle of Delphi by Feld.
I've been wanting to play that for so long.
There's something about that game that just clicks for me.
Oof, I got to try this one now.
Right.
So that is up there for me. It changes. It changes.
I found the same thing for me. I mean, I'm still loving Scythe. That's one of my favorites.
Oh, Scythe is good.
I am a Stonemaier fanboy a bit. But I still like time stories. Like I love narrative games. Anything Reiner Knizia.
Knizia is great. You can't go wrong.
Right.
Yeah. And then I like the T games like Zolkin and what's Teotihuacan.
Zolkin I'm so bad at. I will only play it with people who've never played it before. Otherwise, I'm going to get destroyed.
Right.
That's fun.
Yeah, that's maybe it's just me, but I lose all the time over a large number of games for a variety of reasons. But I'm usually the teacher. And I tend to
That's
think
me.
that I'm more focused on getting everybody to enjoy and play the game right and have a good time with it than I am focused on my own strategy.
Yeah. That's me. And that's the excuse I use.
I do too.
Because I'm teaching and then, but everyone beats me. And it's so embarrassing to be beaten when you've taught the game to the people and you come in terrible.
And I have a YouTube channel where I teach games. And when people play with me, they expect me to win all the time. And I swear I lose. So
you don't have to win. You just have to love it.
That's right. Well, even designers say the same thing, right? A designer will come up with this great Euro game, and yet they don't win it when they play it, and it's funny because a lot of them just describe it like, I've built this sandbox with these guidelines, and
designing and playing are two different skills.
But manipulating that framework and pulling those levers is a different skill set.
Like my strength is like understanding the game mechanisms and explaining those game mechanisms, but actually like mathing out the best strategy is not my skill.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's like some people, I have some friends that I play with, they look at the board and they're mapping it out 7-8 moves ahead. It clicks with them and they're ready. I don't want to do that work.
Yeah, me neither.
I worked all day on my job. I don't want to do that kind of work. I want to think 2 moves ahead.
Right. Yes. Maybe.
I'm the same way.
So I could if I really sat there, but I don't want to do that.
Right. So, and this is interesting because people play games for different reasons, and for me, I play to, socialize, just to lay back, have fun without worry about my real life, because my real life is crazy. So when I play with gamers that insist on, winning, or like that's the only reason they're really trying to play, and it's less about conversing or even joking, they're very focused on their turns. I just don't have as good a time, and that's for me not why I play.
Oh yeah, we've purged quite a few people from our group over the years just because they don't fit in that way.
Yeah,
they're too cranky or they're too sticklers about stuff.
Right.
Like, let's just have fun, man. It's okay.
That's it. That's what it's all about, and bringing new people in. And
bringing new people in. And inviting them in. I love when I can introduce the hobby to somebody, and they get excited because they never knew. They've heard of Settlers and that's it,
Right.
So it's just such a great thing.
Totally agree. That's one of the best experiences.
And I think your TV series, your web series, is a great entry point for people who are unfamiliar with the hobby, because they can watch it for the humor and for the social interactions that happen, and then they get curious. I'm sure they'll say like, "Wow, like what's going on with this board game thing? Maybe I need to find someone who can teach me these games because they look like really fun or interesting."
Yeah, I've actually, like, after recommending the series, Meeple People, I've actually then said, okay, now go watch this like tabletop episode where Will and his friends like go out and actually play the game.
A lot of times with celebrities.
Yeah, because then you get that experience of what the game's like.
What the game is like,
yeah. And I just think that's a great combination. So.
We tried to get Will Wheaton to do this quarantine thing.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
That'd be excellent. I've been watching The Big Bang Theory a lot, and every time Will comes on, I'm like, tabletop.
That's right. That's right.
I would love to get him or Felicia Day or anybody from any familiar face who loves board games to do the show.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I wish they were still doing, publishing content too, because I just think it was such a great. It was certainly one of the reasons I got into gaming. Watching tabletop. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and so I think you're kind of taking the torch of creating like interesting like video content of, scripted or not, like it's just well produced, it's well thought out, it's relatable, and it's so funny, so much.
I so love hearing that.
Yeah, and I'm really excited and hopeful that we get that season 2 in some fashion, and we can get all the same cast back and and do some project with this, because you've got a lot of fans, and I think those fans are very hardcore dedicated to the series. And that's an amazing thing to look back and say, like, that you made something that so many people like love and appreciate and can relate to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I'd love to make more, and hopefully will. All the actors will look a little older.
That's right.
It'll be the next day, but they'll be older.
Right.
That's true. I'm sure there's you can invent something that happened in the meantime.
You'll have to hire a CGI guy to de-age everybody.
Oh boy.
Well, Jonathan, who plays Brad, he dyed his hair he didn't dye it, but it's all white now.
Oh man.
Oh wow, that
just went all white.
That's a big difference.
That's cool.
Well, thanks, Dean, for spending some time chatting with us about board games, about your show, about the future, and what we're working on, what you guys are doing. Thank you for making such an awesome board game centric comedy show. I watch it a lot, and if you guys listeners out there or viewers, you guys have to check it out. It's Meeple People Comedy on YouTube. They're free episodes. I mean, just go watch it. It's just so good. And Meeple People Comedy is also part of the Gateway Network, as is our YouTube channel, Meeple Mentor. So make sure to also go and check out thegatewaynetwork.com to see many other content creators, but be able to find that link to Meeple People Comedy right there on the site. Yeah, so this has been an excellent time to be able to talk with you, and we'll hope to talk again soon and keep up with what you're working on.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dean. We've really enjoyed this. Big fans.
Absolutely.
All right, so for the Mentor Minutes podcast, I've been Jared.
And I'm Jay.
We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.